So I'm 52,
What?
and if you're a lot younger than me and we were to sit down having a conversation, a coffee together, here's what I would tell you. I tell you that life moves faster than you think. One minute you're making plans, the next minute you're wondering where the time has gone, where the years have gone. I tell you to stop waiting for confidence before you do anything. Most of us spend too much time believing confidence comes first. It doesn't. Confidence is often a result of doing the thing you're scared to do. I tell you not to spend your life trying to be who everyone else needs you to be or wants you to be, because eventually there comes a point where you realize you've spent years meeting expectations and very little time getting to know yourself. I tell you to pay attention to your body, not because it's fragile, but because it's wise. The body often knows before the mind catches up. I tell you that being strong is a wonderful thing, but don't confuse being strong with carrying everything alone. Those are very different things. I tell you, people pleasing is an expensive habit, and the price is often paid in resentment, exhaustion, and disconnection from yourself. I tell you not to confuse being kind with being nice. Kindness comes from honesty and self-respect. Being too nice often comes from fear of disappointing people. One nourishes relationships, the other can slowly cost you your voice. I'd also tell you that being highly sensitive to other people's emotions isn't always the gift we think it is, because empathy is one thing, and it's sometimes a sign that we've become so focused on everyone else's feelings that we've lost touch with our own.
Listen. Shout out to the creator. Link in the description. Shout out to the creator. Listen, I think this is super powerful, and I think more people, specifically women, should be doing this. Now, I know some of you are going to come for me in the comments. Oh, Samuel, you're sexist. What do you mean women? The reason I'm saying women is because I'm a reader of the Bible. And in the Bible, it says, let the older women teach the younger women. I think right now we have an epidemic in our world because the older women haven't been given the platform to teach the younger women. She's 52. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if this is wrong. But here's the thing that I think is extremely powerful as she breaks down all of the things she would tell what I perceive as her younger self, or if she was having a conversation with a younger person. I'm a younger person, so I'm just taking the hit as though she's speaking to me. And what really resonates to me is, Samuel, go get yourself a Bible and start to study it. Because 9 times out of 10, a lot of the Proverbs, parables, and lessons that she's teaching are the Proverbs, passages, parables that I discovered and I uncovered from reading in the pages of the Bible. So let me encourage you, if you're someone who hasn't had that relationship with the word of God, who hasn't had that relationship with the practices and precepts and principles that literally are taught in the word of God, go get yourself a Bible. What are you waiting for? Take advantage of your advantages. Go get yourself a Bible, best-selling book since humanity, right? It's been rocking, and literally start to study it. Start to read through the pages of Proverbs and start to discover how things work, how they're supposed to work, how things don't work, what happens when they don't work, and what makes them work and what makes them not work. I want to get to the end of this. We're gonna play the rest of this, but take the opportunity and become who you're supposed to become without falling into all of the traps that this current world is trying to create for so many people in our generation. There are too many traps. There are too many traps. These traps of think like this so you can get this outcome. But the problem is, if you go look at the people with that outcome, they didn't think the way we're talking about. Let's get to the end of this before I go before I go in a bit more. Let's go.
Learning the difference changed my life. I tell you that success means very little if you lose yourself in the process of achieving it. I tell you something I wish more women understood earlier. Self-awareness is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, because the better you understand yourself, your needs, your patterns, your strengths, your limits, your emotions, your values, the easier it becomes to navigate change. And trust me, life will ask you to navigate change many, many times.
Right.
And most importantly, I would tell you this: don't spend your life waiting until everything is perfect before you start taking care of yourself. Support yourself now. Get curious about yourself now. Understand yourself now, understand yourself now, because at the end of the day, the relationship you have with yourself influences every other relationship you'll ever have. And if there's one thing life has taught me, it's this: women behind the career, the business, the achievements, and the responsibilities, that woman matters too. Okay? I love you.
Let's go. Listen, super powerful share. Again, shout out to the creator. Link to the video or the content or however the team do it. You know, shout out to the creator inside of the description. I think there's so many values and nuggets that can be taken from this video, and I think we need to really take heed to what's going on in the world. We're living in a world where people are being trapped into believing that they can be receiving without doing the things that they need to do to start receiving, and logically all that is deceiving, right? So we're living in a highly deceptive world, and the question is, how do we navigate that? How do we untangle the ropes, the ties that are attempting to tangle us all up in? And I think one of the key ways, I mentioned it a moment ago, is literally starting to jump into things that were here before we showed up, starting to trust in things that were created to set us up for success before we showed up to get success. You know, one of the big things I find in our current generation is there's a lot of anger and animosity targeted at things like the Bible, right? But really, that anger and animosity, when it comes out, when people start sharing what they're really like angry or have animosity about, we start realizing they're not angry at the Bible. They're not angry at the God of the Bible. They're not angry at the principles, practices, precepts spoken in the Bible. They're actually angry at religion. They're actually angry at men who have done a flawed job of attempting to represent God on the earth. And I think this needs to be something we address way more. I think it's super powerful that we get to a place in our life where we can love ourselves, right? But what we have to understand is we are not just the person that showed up today. We are made up of characteristics, counterparts, and constructs. So what I mean by that is, for example, I am a man, right? That's a characteristic of who I am. And the interesting thing is there's been men before me. This is why when I read books like Viktor Frankl's book on man's search for meaning, when I read books like the Bible written by men, literally, you know, God scribing through them, when I read books that are empowering, insightful, enlightening, it shifts and has an impact on me because I'm a man and there's men that have come before me. So I can take advantage of my advantages and tap into the cheat codes, which is recognizing my characteristics, my constructs, and my counterparts prior to me and leveraging them to make me more valuable for me. Okay. And that, I think that feeds into the deepening my understanding of myself. Okay. It goes further. I'm a husband, right? There's husbands that have come before me. I can learn from those husbands that came before me. I can read books like one of the books my wife and I are reading right now is Moments Together for Couples, right? Written by Dennis and Barbara Rainey. Old school book, late 90s when it actually originally came out. But in us going through that book together, I'm learning from a husband who was a husband before me. I'm learning from a husband who had multiple children, 5-6 children before I had 5-6 children. So that gives me the opportunity to literally time travel. And I think not enough of us are time traveling. Not enough of us are leaning on the learning of others in order for us to use it as leverage. Instead, we're waiting for losses. And the question is, why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? Now I know why you do that. So let's break that down. The reason many of us do that is because we haven't been taught anything better. The reason why many of us do that is because mainstream media, social media, all of these medias are attempting to derail us and destabilize us instead of deploy us into our actual purposes with real passion so that we can get some productivity actually achieved. And the reality is sometimes, I'm going to say it like this, you've just got to unplug. You've got to unplug from the rhetoric of this reality and tune in to the reality of reality. And that's what changes everything. That's what allows us to actually start leveling up, start becoming who we're supposed to be. That's what allows us to literally linchpin our lives on value, true value, and as you know, it was shared in the video, start to discover who we really are and start to uncover who we really are to the world. The Bible has a powerful verse which I think super connects all of this stuff together. It says, let your light so shine before men so that they can see your good works and glorify your Father that is in heaven. Here's the reality. You cannot let your light shine if you don't know that you have a light in the first time. That's the reality. Until we get to a place where we recognize our individual personal value, we can't share that value with the world. We can't say to the world, hey, here's something of value for you. I've often said, you know, decades back, it's about 2 decades ago when I first started sharing this. If you see a person who plays a piano, there is no way for you to know that they play a piano unless one of 2 things happens. The first thing is if they tell you, and the second thing is if you put them in front of a set of keys. And the reality is, this is the world we're living in. We're living in a world where you have so much potential. There's so much potential within each and every one of us. But unless we are literally asked to reveal that potential, or unless we're radically positioned in front of the instrument of our potential, nobody gets to see that potential. Why don't we make a decision today to actually change or shift our way? Why don't we make a decision today to get introspective, start to understand who we actually are, the value we bring to the table, and start to showcase that to the world so that our light can so shine, so men can see our value and glorify even our God who is in heaven. This is something I can win. I'm signing out. I pray you got value from this video. If you did, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll welcome you into becoming a part of the tribe. Remember, as I usually say, small keys open up big doors, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Good day. God bless. Let's go.
Small keys open big doors.